The physics of silence. Why active noise cancellation adds noise to quiet the world. Imagine you are sitting in a crowded coffee shop or the cabin of a roaring jet airliner. You put on your headphones, flip a switch, and suddenly, the chaos vanishes. It feels like magic, like you have stepped into a vacuum. But what is actually happening inside those ear cups is not a subtraction of reality. It is an addition. To create silence, your headphones are actually screaming at you. Welcome to the hidden science of active noise cancellation. Most people believe that noise-canceling headphones work like a thick, heavy door closing against a storm. They assume it is just better padding, blocking the sound waves from entering your ear canal. That is a myth. That is called passive noise isolation, and it is merely a physical barrier. Active noise cancellation, or ANC, is entirely different. It is an active, aggressive combat system engaged in a constant war with physics. It does not block sound. It kills it. To understand how we kill sound, we must first understand what sound actually is. Sound is not a solid object. It is a pressure wave traveling through the air. It consists of high-pressure areas called compressions and low-pressure areas called rarefactions. Picture a sine wave, moving up and down, oscillating through space. When that wave hits your eardrum, it pushes and pulls, and your brain interprets that vibration as noise. Now, here is the fundamental rule of physics that makes ANC possible. If you take a sound wave and combine it with another wave of the exact same frequency and amplitude, but you flip the second wave upside down, the peaks of the first wave line up perfectly with the valleys of the second wave. High pressure meets low pressure. +1 meets -1. The result is 0. This is called destructive interference. And this is the secret weapon inside your headphones. Let's dive into the mechanism of how this happens in real time. Your ANC headphones are equipped with tiny microphones, usually located on the outside of the ear cup. These microphones are the sentries. They are listening to the environment around you, picking up the roar of the engine or the hum of the air conditioner. But they are not recording this sound for you to hear. They are sending that data to a digital signal processor, or DSP, hidden inside the headphone circuitry. This chip is the brain of the operation. It analyzes the incoming sound wave's frequency and amplitude. Then, instantly, it calculates the exact mathematical inverse of that wave. It creates an anti-noise signal. This anti-noise is phase-inverted by 180 degrees. The headphones then play this anti-noise through the speakers directly into your ears, alongside your music. When the external noise wave meets this internal anti-noise wave inside your ear canal, they collide. They cancel each other out physically. The energy is effectively neutralized, leaving you with silence. However, this process is incredibly difficult to execute perfectly. The biggest enemy of ANC is time. Sound travels at roughly 343 meters per second. The distance from the outside of your headphone to your eardrum is only a few centimeters. That means the sound wave will travel from the outside microphone to your ear in mere microseconds. In that tiny fraction of time, the DSP must capture the sound, analyze it, create the anti-noise, and play it. If the system is too slow, the anti-noise will arrive too late. If the waves are not perfectly aligned, they won't cancel. In fact, if the anti-noise is slightly off, it can actually amplify the noise, making it louder. This is known as constructive interference, and it is the worst-case scenario for engineers. To solve this latency problem, modern ANC systems use a hybrid approach. They use feed-forward microphones on the outside to catch noise early. and they use feedback microphones on the inside, right next to the speaker, to listen to what you are actually hearing. The internal microphone checks for errors. If it hears that some noise leaked through, it tells the DSP to adjust the algorithm instantly. This continuous feedback loop happens thousands of times per second. It is a constant, self-correcting cycle that ensures the silence remains pure. This brings us to a crucial limitation that users often misunderstand. Why does ANC work amazingly well on an airplane, but fails to block a crying baby or a sudden conversation? The answer lies in the predictability of the wave. An airplane engine creates a constant, low-frequency drone. The wave pattern is consistent and repetitive. This gives the DSP plenty of time to predict the next wave cycle and generate a matching anti-noise signal. It is easy math. Human speech, however, is erratic. It consists of high frequencies and sudden, sharp transients. It changes pitch and volume unpredictably and rapidly. The DSP cannot predict what a person will say next or how loud a baby will scream. By the time the system processes a sudden shout, the sound wave has already hit your eardrum. The anti-noise arrives too late. This is why ANC is a master of droning backgrounds, but struggles with sharp, sudden spikes. Furthermore, there is a physical limit to the frequencies we can cancel. ANC is most effective at low frequencies, typically below 1 kHz. High-frequency waves are much shorter and faster. Trying to line up a perfect anti-wave for a high-pitched sound is physically much harder because the margin for error is microscopic. For high-pitched sounds, like a whistle or a siren, we still rely on the passive isolation of the ear pads. The heavy foam and tight seal do the heavy lifting for the treble. The electronics handle the bass. It is a partnership between physical materials and digital algorithms. So, how do you actually use this technology effectively in your daily life? It is not a magic shield, but a tool that requires proper application. Here is the utility protocol for maximizing your active noise cancellation. First, the Do protocol. Do ensure you have a perfect physical seal. ANC relies on the closed system of the ear cup to allow the waves to mix and cancel. If you wear glasses that break the seal of the foam pads, or if the earbuds are too loose, the bass leaks out. Without a tight seal, the anti-noise signal will escape, and the external noise will leak in. The physics of destructive interference fall apart without containment. Always check the fit before flipping the switch. Second, the Don't protocol. Don't use ANC in high-wind environments unless your device has a specific wind reduction mode. Wind is physical air hitting the microphones. It creates massive turbulence and pressure spikes directly on the external sensors. The DSP interprets this wind buffeting as extremely loud low-frequency noise. It tries to compensate by generating a massive anti-noise thumping sound. Instead of silence, you hear loud popping and rumbling caused by the system fighting the wind. If it is windy, turn ANC off or switch to passive mode. Third, the When protocol. When should you rely on ANC for hearing protection? Only for continuous environmental stress. Use it to reduce the fatigue of a long flight or a noisy commute. By lowering the noise floor, you don't have to crank your music volume up to dangerous levels just to hear it. This saves your hearing in the long run. However, do not rely on it as safety earmuffs at a gun range or a construction site with impact noises. The latency means the initial crack of a gunshot or a hammer strike will pass through before the system can react. For impact noise, you need physical mass, not digital trickery. In conclusion, Active noise cancellation is a marvel of modern signal processing. It turns the concept of fighting fire with fire into a literal acoustic reality. We are fighting sound with sound. We are using electricity to create a mirror image of the chaotic world around us, just to delete it. The next time you toggle that switch and the world goes mute, remember that you are not just blocking the noise. You are surrounded by a silent, invisible battle of waves, calculated thousands of times a second, just to bring you a moment of peace.